We'll try to solve this question. The question is asking us how many direct ATP are made if fructose 1,6-biphosphate is put through glycolysis. Now, if you remember, in cellular respiration, food is oxidized or broken down to release energy. The energy that is released is conserved in the form of chemical bonds in the ATP molecule. This ATP molecule is utilized as the energy currency of the cell, where different metabolic reactions is run with the help of these ATP molecules. So it is vital for the hemostasis of the cell. Now, cellular respiration, the process itself can be classified into two based on whether or not oxygen is utilized in the process. If oxygen is not involved, then it is termed as anaerobic. If oxygen is involved, it is termed as aerobic. In anaerobic reaction, we can see the main pathway as glycolysis. Glycolysis is the sole pathway by which anaerobic organisms derive energy, whereas in anaerobic organisms, the aerobic respiration pathway involves three different pathways. The first is glycolysis, which is followed by Krebs cycle, or what is known as the citric acid cycle. Then we have, finally, the oxidative phosphorylation. At the end of these pathways, your ATP is synthesized. Now, coming back to glycolysis, glycolysis is the process in which the respiratory substrate glucose is broken down to form a 3-carbon compound known as pyruvate. Now, this occurs through a variety or through a number of cells, okay? And your 6-carbon glucose is broken down into a 3-carbon compound known as pyruvate. So if we see the process of glycolysis in detail, we're able to see that the process of glycolysis can be divided into two phases. The first phase is preparatory phase, and the second phase is the payoff phase. So if you see here, we are able to see the whole pathway of glycolysis. So starting from your glucose molecule to your glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, we have what is known as your first phase, termed as your preparatory phase. And from there, from your glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to your ultimately pyruvate is known as your payoff phase. In the preparatory phase, the molecules that are needed for finally convert glucose into pyruvate are made. So we have a lot of intermediates during this phase, and energy is utilized to form those intermediates. In the question, one such intermediate is mentioned, that is fructose 1,6-biphosphate. If you see here, fructose 1,6-biphosphate is mentioned here. Okay, so your glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate, then to a number of intermediates, finally to fructose 1,6-phosphate. Okay, after that, we can see the second phase is going to start, payoff phase. In payoff phase, the whole of the reaction is starting to pay off, meaning that ATP is going to be synthesized in this reaction. So if you see the steps highlighted here and here, okay, so these steps are where your glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is being conserved or converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So if you see in this process, your 2-NADH is being produced. Another step that is important is from 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is being converted to 3-phosphoglycerate, right? So if you look at the three steps that I have highlighted, the first reaction, 2-NADH is being formed, okay? And in the second reaction, your 2 ATP molecules are formed. And in the final reaction, that is from phosphoenol pyruvate, when it is being converted to pyruvate, again, 2 ATP is being formed, okay? And in the preparatory phase, for preparation of these intermediates, 2 ATP were utilized. So in the preparatory phase, 2 ATP were utilized. And in the payoff phase, 4 ATP are produced or generated. So if you see here, what the question is asking, now here is the major chunk of the question. You have to see whether if they are asking for the total number of ATP, if they had asked for total number of ATP, you would have taken into account both the number of ATPs plus the number of NADPH that is formed. So here we had told you certain NADPH molecules were also formed. So in total ATP, we'll consider both their numbers. While if it is asking us net ATP, then we're going to minus the ATP that we have obtained from the ATPs that were utilized. So that is 4 minus 2. 4 ATPs we had got and 2 ATPs we had utilized. So net ATP is 2 ATP. But neither of these two things are asked in the question. If you look at the question, it's written direct ATP. Okay, so direct is what is the yield that this pathway is giving us, right? So this pathway is giving us 4 ATP. Direct ATP that is being formed is 4 ATP. So the answer to this question is 4 ATP. So that's all for now. Thank you.